The wrestling world was shaken to its core when news broke that Cody Rhodes had been seriously injured after a recent show. What was meant to be a night of entertainment turned into a moment of fear, concern, and uncertainty, reminding fans that wrestlers are more than the characters they portray. They are human beings with families, loved ones, and lives outside the ring. The outpouring of support from fellow performers, fans, and wrestling promotions highlights the community's unity in times of crisis. This story is about resilience, care, and the real people behind the spectacle. The moment the room went quiet. Backstage and in the arena, people who come to expect scripted chaos instead found something raw and terrifying. Cody Rhodes, one of the industry's most beloved performers, had been seriously assaulted after a show, and the images and reports that followed turned a weekend of spectacle into a nightmare that left the entire wrestling community shaken and searching for answers. Roman Reigns, seen crying. Roman Reigns, who for years has played a public role of invulnerability and leadership, was visibly emotional when he learned what had happened to Cody. Seeing the normally composed tribal chief overcome with tears in the hospital corridor told everyone that this was no storyline. It was a very real human crisis that cut through the bravado and reminded performers and fans alike how fragile life can be. The initial reports and confusion. Initial accounts were chaotic and conflicting. Security footage, eyewitness accounts, and unofficial social media posts painted a disorienting picture of what unfolded in a parking area after the show. And for hours, the wrestling world was forced to wait for facts, fearing the worst, while hoping for clarity and a rapid law enforcement response. What we know so far and what we don't. At this stage, public information is limited and still evolving. Cody was found injured and required emergency medical attention. Multiple sources have said the injuries appear serious. Law enforcement and venue security are investigating, and several wrestlers and staff are cooperating with authorities. None of which is a substitute for a formal police finding, but it indicates that professionals are treating the incident as a criminal matter. The human cost behind the headlines. Beyond the footage and the speculation is the human toll. A husband, a father, a friend, and a colleague suddenly vulnerable in a hospital bed. Loved ones pacing waiting rooms, and the everyday human fear that families feel when a partner or parent is hurt. These are the details that headlines gloss over, but that make the situation unbearably real for everyone who cares about Cody and his family. Cody's condition and the medical reality doctors have described Cody's injuries in guarded terms to protect privacy. But colleagues and family members have said he was rushed to surgery and remains under intensive care. The immediate priority for medical teams continues to be stabilizing him, addressing traumatic injuries, and ensuring he receives the rehabilitation and support he'll need in the days and months ahead. The shockwave through the locker room. What was striking to many observers was how quickly the locker room's tone shifted from scripted bravado to genuine sorrow. Rivalries were set aside. Performers who once traded promos publicly expressed concern, and the backstage area, a place of performance and preparation, became a scene of sincere consolation, quietly underscoring how tightly knit this community can be when one of their own is in crisis. Questions about security and access. The incident has prompted immediate questions about security protocols. How could an assault occur in a place where personnel are supposed to be monitored? Who had access to backstage and parking areas? And whether procedural gaps contributed to the tragic event. Questions that venue management, promotions, and law enforcement are now investigating with urgency. The role of police and an ongoing investigation. Local authorities are leading a criminal investigation. That means evidence collection, witness interviews, and forensic review. It also means that speculation should be tempered, and that the proper channel for answers is the police process, which exists to establish facts and, when warranted, press charges based on evidence rather than hearsay. The dangers of speculation. In the hours after the event, social media filled with graphic descriptions, accusations, and conspiracy theories. While understandable, that reaction risks amplifying unverified claims and harming innocent people. So, for the sake of Cody, his family, and the integrity of the investigation, it's crucial that fans, reporters, and insiders allow law enforcement to do their work and avoid rushing to judgment. Families and the emotional fallout. Rey Mysterio, Cody's family, and close friends have been publicly and privately devastated. And we must remember that beside every headline is a family forced to face trauma in a very public way. That reality should guide how the media covers this story and how fans choose to respond. Compassion first, curiosity later. The duty of promoters and management. This incident also raises difficult questions for promoters and management about their duty of care. Safeguarding talent, ensuring secure transit and backstage protocols, and creating an environment where performers can do their jobs without fearing for their safety. Policies that must be reviewed and improved in light of what has happened. What fans can do. Right now, fans want to act, and they should. But there are meaningful, constructive ways to help. Send messages of support through verified channels, respect requests for privacy, donate to any verified family support funds if they arise, and use social media to amplify official updates rather than unverified rumors that could hamper investigations. The long road to recovery. If Cody survives, and reports suggest he remains under intensive medical care, his path back will be measured in months or years, not days. Rehabilitation, therapy, and gradual rebuilding of trust and confidence will be required, and the community's sustained, not headline-driven support will matter more than any temporary wave of outrage. Unity over division. In the wake of trauma, unity matters. This moment is an opportunity for the wrestling world to model care, to hold institutions accountable, to demand transparency where it counts, and to offer long-term support to a performer and a family in crisis rather than trading in sensationalism. Hope, resolve, and the next steps. As authorities continue to investigate, and as Cody's family and friends navigate the frightening uncertainty of medical recovery, the most productive response from fans, media, and the industry is clear. Protect privacy, support recovery, demand a full and transparent investigation, and push for concrete safety reforms so that no performer has to endure this kind of violation again. A final thought on humanity. At the center of this story is a human life interrupted, and a network of people, family, friends, co-workers, and fans, uniting in worry, prayer, and practical support. How the industry responds now will define it for years to come. Not in ratings or headlines, but in how it values the people who step into the ring night after night.